Hi, it's Adam here from adaminsights.com, and this is my review of the Samsung Galaxy Fold as an avid Apple iPhone user. So, to give you a bit of background here, I've now had a Samsung Galaxy Fold for about 8 months, and I've come to the conclusion that for business use, it is a far better phone than the iPhone. So I'm an avid Apple iPhone fan. I've personally had an iPhone since the iPhone 3G finally came out in Australia in 2008. I was one of those people that was lining up on that cold morning to get one. And so I've had the 3G, I've had the iPhone 4, the iPhone 5, which had a really bad battery, the 6 Plus, the 7, the XR, and now the 11. And I love the way that the iPhone works. I love the way that iCloud works. I think that it is just so seamless and works really well in keeping my contacts synced between all of my mobile devices and my MacBook, and how my photos just seem to magically appear on my Apple TV as well. I think it's great, and I really like things like FaceTime, handoff, and the Messages app, which I can use to send and receive SMS messages on my laptop as well without even having to pick up the phone, and take calls on the laptop as well. These are all great technologies which I love about the iOS ecosystem. And I use Apple Music every day. I use Apple News every day. I wouldn't even dream of trying Spotify because I just don't need it. I've got like over 200 apps on my iPhone, and it'll probably be the phone that I use for personal use forever, as far as I'm concerned. And I feel safe in the way that it is regularly updated, and I feel safe in knowing how secure it is. But after using the Galaxy Fold for this time, I have to say I think the Galaxy Fold is a better phone for business use. So I guess, why am I lucky enough to also have a Galaxy Fold as well as an iPhone? Well, it's really simple. The Galaxy Fold was given to me by my employer as a corporate phone. And I'm using the Galaxy Fold a lot more than the iPhone. Not because I necessarily want to, but because I actually need to. I'm talking on it a lot more, and I'm using it a lot more. And that brings me to the first point I want to make as to why I think the Fold is such a winner compared to the iPhone. And that is the battery life. So let's compare. And in the real world, I'm using the iPhone. Initially, I'll get up in the morning, I might read a little bit of news, I'll check some emails, I'll listen to some music on my commute to work, I might have a bit of a scroll through Facebook, I might take 1 or 2 personal calls on it during the day, or make them, but I'm not really talking on the phone for more than about 15 minutes in a day on average. I'll send a few SMS messages, I might watch a YouTube video, and that's that. And by the end of the day, the battery is on about 10% and it needs recharging every day. The Fold, on the other hand, I'm talking on it for about 2 hours a day, Monday through to Friday. I'm checking my emails on it quite regularly. I'm generally on a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams meeting on it with the camera, with the screen, and with headphones as a live chat for about an hour or so each day. So the screen is on, and I'm also giving this a lot more intense use for longer than the iPhone. I'm also using it to manage websites, web servers, and manage web content and review documents, videos, all of that. And it just seems, well, the fact is, I only actually have to charge the battery in this phone once a week compared to once a day with the iPhone, and yet this has a lot more intense work to do for longer than the iPhone, and yet the battery is just lasting so much longer. But I guess on to the main factor as to why the Galaxy Fold is so great. It is a full-blown tablet in my pocket. It's brilliant. Now, I guess there's a fair bit of debate out there as to whether or not tablet computers are really useful. I do remember when the iPad first came out, seeing some people in meetings or whatever, they would try and force themselves to use an iPad to do some really simple things like take notes in a meeting, whereas I still find it easier just to pull out a pen and pad and away I go. Tablet computers are definitely useful for business applications. They're great for reviewing Excel sheets, PowerPoint displays, some PDF designs, Word documents on the go. They are really useful for that. But the thing is where do you actually put a tablet? Because a smartphone you can stick in your pocket. A laptop easily goes in your bag. A tablet, it's kind of too small for a bag and too big for a pocket. And you sort of end, you see them walking around, I've done it myself, you can walk around an airport or wherever with a tablet like a pretentious what's it, whereas, because you just don't really have anywhere to stick your tablet. It's true, tablets are actually really awkward to move around because there just isn't really a place to put them. The Fold solves that because the Fold just goes into my pocket. Check out that keyboard. The layout of it is so intuitive and easy. When I'm using it, it just lines up straight away with my thumbs and I can type on here really quickly, respond to emails really quickly. It's great. With this particular screen size, reviewing Excel sheets, reviewing PDFs, reviewing PowerPoints, it's so easy to get through. The resolution of the screen is good, the brightness of the screen is good. I can read it all day long and it doesn't make my eyes hurt, which I have seen on some poorer screens, but this screen is really, really good in that regard. So, and I actually think that one of the things that really sold the whole concept to me and is actually one of the driving factors as to why I'm making this video is that a few months ago I needed to review a fairly intense PDF and it had a lot of diagrams on it, a lot of text on it, and normally for something like that I would go and get my laptop, open it up and go from there. This I was just able to pull out of my pocket. I was able to review everything effectively on this screen. I was able to mark up a few notes just like that on it, save it to my Adobe Cloud, and then the next day I was able to open it up on my laptop and continue working on it. I thought that was great. And that actually does bring me to a big point I want to make about Android, is that Android just seems to play a lot nicer with things like Google Drive, Dropbox, and the Adobe Creative Cloud. I find it really easy, particularly using Adobe all the time, being able to just open up an Illustrator file or a Photoshop file, a PDF, or even just a Word document, make some notes, make some changes on here, save it, and know that it's syncing to the cloud, and I can just open it up again the next morning at work and keep going with it on the laptop. That's actually something that's really impressed me, and it's things that the iPhone can't do very easily anyway. And yes, I could do it on an iPad, but compared to the Fold, an iPad is an awkward device to carry around for me now. Okay, so I've made it very clear that I think that the Fold is making me more productive at work. Let's talk about security. So I think that security, the iPhone is always going to win for me, because not even Apple can break into an iPhone or an iCloud account unless they have the password for that account. So because their software is closed, their software is regularly updated, and they've never had a major security issue. There's been some issues where people have tried to con passwords out of users, but Apple's security is always 10 out of 10. They get it right, and that's a great thing. Firewall, all of that, they're great technologies from Apple, and I rely on them myself, and I think they're brilliant. Android, on the other hand, does use some open source software. So sure, open source is generally a bit more vulnerable to security issues than closed source software. But Samsung has addressed that by securing this phone with Knox security, which is another proprietary level of security on top of Android. How good it is, I don't know, but I haven't had any passwords, I haven't had any data stolen from it in 8 months, so that's a good thing. But I've never actually personally been hacked, so I don't really know exactly how devastating it could be. Yeah, it's not something I ever want to experience. But while we're on security, let's talk about the face recognition between these two phones. So I use face recognition all the time to unlock my phones. The iPhone, as far as I understand, uses a laser, because I can unlock my iPhone in pitch blackness, pitch darkness, whatever I should say, and it just works. And the iPhone doesn't seem to mind if I've changed my glasses or changed my haircut. The face recognition in the Galaxy Fold, I think, uses photograph recognition, because if I do have a new pair of glasses on, if I have got a haircut, it has a problem. And also, you do have to be in really good lighting conditions for the face recognition in the Galaxy Fold to work, whereas the iPhone just seems to work anywhere. So yeah, it's a little bit awkward with the face recognition on this. I have to use the passcode probably a lot more. Okay, let's talk charging and syncing with these phones. So again here, I think that the Samsung Galaxy Fold wins hands down against the iPhone. Why? USB-C connection for charging and syncing. Seriously, Apple, I wish that you would copy Samsung on this one. There is just no point with things like a Lightning connector anymore, because one, it's still using USB 2 speed, so it's slower than USB-C anyway. But it's like, I remember 15 years ago working in retail, it was like there was always so many issues with phone cables. Everyone was always coming in, oh, I need to get a phone cable for this specific model. And phone cables, it's like, they were so different between loads of different types of phones. And it was always such a hassle trying to find exactly the right one, because they all look similar, but they're not. And also doing exchanges for when people have bought the wrong one. It was a real hassle for retail staff, and it still can be. And it's like you hold on to your phone charger like gold dust, because you don't want to lose it, and you don't want to lend it out, because you always want to make sure that you can charge your own phone. And that's fair enough. Whereas with USB-C, I've got USB-C cables at work, I've got them in my bag, I've got them at home. USB-C is easy, because I know that I've got a USB-C cable at arm's reach anywhere, and so I can charge my phone anywhere with USB-C. That's why USB-C is so much better than a proprietary system like a Lightning cable. It's like, I remember being on holiday once. I had left my Lightning cable at home, and I had to go and find an Apple store and buy one and pay more than I really wanted to pay for a cable just to be able to charge my phone. It was annoying, whereas USB-C, you can get them everywhere and they're cheap, and you can have loads of them all over the place, and it's easy to charge your phone. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the interface. For years I've been used to the iOS interface, and I pretty much know it inside out. It's second nature to me. How did I go transitioning to the Android interface? Well, actually it was remarkably easy. So I think that things like the universal home and the back button with Android is a great idea. I'm using them all the time now, and actually when I'm using my iPhone, sometimes I inadvertently just tap where they are, expecting them to be there to do what I want the iPhone to do, what I'm expecting the Android to do on the iPhone. Yeah, I think they're actually really good. The only major letdown I've got about the Fold is the front screen. So the front screen is an awkward shape and size. It's just difficult to be able to reach everywhere with your thumb on it. iPhone, it's a lot easier. With the phone in one hand, with one thumb, you can reach anything you want quite easy, and it just seems to work. The Fold is a bit awkward. And to be honest, when I want to dial a number or find a contact, I tend to open up the phone like this, go into the phone app, start the process of dialing the number in here, and then close it to continue making the call, because it's just easier. The front screen on the Galaxy Fold isn't great. I wish that they would make it edge to edge, and I wish they would address the shape and the size of it a little bit, hopefully by the next revision, so that they end up making an even better phone. Now let's talk about support between Samsung and Apple. Now, in the past, I've always had positive experiences with Samsung support with things like home appliances. It's true, I have. Apple support can be very hit and miss. So when you phone up Apple support, you tend to have to dial a whole load of press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this, all of that stuff, right? You end up listening to music for a while. You can get offered a selection of music now, because I think that they know that people are going to be on hold for a little while. And then when you end up talking to someone, it seems that they generally just patronize you and tell you that the problem you're experiencing is because you're doing the wrong thing with the device, or you're not using it properly, and it's not specifically an issue with their device because their device is so perfect. They end up patronizing you. Apple support staff do that. And things only really happen, like a device gets replaced or a device gets repaired, unless you escalate things. And that's a painful process, escalating things. The experience I had with Samsung, on the other hand. So I always like to manually set my brightness, and so I was noticing the screen was quite dim, and I wanted to be able to manually set the brightness. I wasn't quite sure how to do it. Anyway, I picked up the phone, and well, funny enough, I had to pick up this phone, and I called the Samsung support number. That was very clear on the Galaxy Fold's documentation. There was no going on hold, there was no dialing whatever. Someone picked up the phone pretty much straight away, and I explained that I had a Fold and I wanted to be able to tweak the brightness on it. And they just talked me through it. There was no messing around. There was no, oh, we need to check the serial number of your phone for warranty, or there was none of that stuff that you tend to get with Apple. Like if you phone up Apple and you have an issue, they want to check the serial number of your device and all of that stuff. None of that with Samsung. They just said, oh, you want to do this? Yes, no problem. This is how you do it. It was an easy process. 60-second call, my issue was resolved. 60 seconds doesn't even get you to be able to talk to someone with Apple. So the support with Samsung was actually really, really good. Okay, so I guess I have to say both phones are great. For work, when my priority is just getting stuff done, Samsung Galaxy Fold wins completely. I have to say the Galaxy Fold is a clear winner there. And I have to say for work use, I'm probably going to stick with Android, I think, and Samsung for that matter. Whereas for home, to be my faithful companion through life's experiences, taking photos, keeping track of personal contacts, social media, and enjoying my music, I'm going to stick with iPhone.